sure that the athlete is able to take your instructions. They're able to really move their body well with the bodyweight exercises. And once they can do that, and then they should be ready for start with soft resistance though, medicine balls, bands, maybe dumbbells, and then you can progress towards barbells. It all depends on the athlete, and it depends on if they're able to take instructions or not. And then if they can do the basic movements, if they can squat, if they can hinge, if they can do all those movements with correct technique, then I would say yes, you can definitely progress them towards weight bearing or weight training exercises. There is a really nice simple test that you can do with your young athletes. It's from the Australian Strength and Conditioning Association, and basically I might miss something now, but I'll try and remember it. So there's a squat with 10% body weight for 1 minute. There is a single leg squat of a box. There is a plank, a side plank, and pull-ups and push-ups. Yeah. So those kind of are the basic movements like I spoke about as well. And there are guidelines for how many you should do, how many should a young athlete be able to do in order for them to be progressed towards barbell exercises. I think it's always good to have good collaboration with the coaches to understand what they need and what their program is firstly, before you can start with your program. So as a strength and conditioning coach, you need to be able to go to the coach, have a discussion with him, make sure that you know what their plan is, so that whatever they do, you supplement it and you add to that program. Because eventually what happens is, if you're doing your own thing and the coach is doing their own thing, then we don't get the best for the athlete. So it's very important that you discuss it with the coach first. My role, I am lucky, I have great coaches like you, Ajit. So for me, it's easy. We can just have a general discussion about the program, and then I make my strength and conditioning program. I discuss it with the coach, and we make sure that we're on the same page for strength and conditioning. I do understand that in India, for example, a lot of coaches are not as lucky as us to have, coaches and strength and conditioning coaches. So a lot of the athletics coaches actually take the strength and conditioning sessions as well. So I understand that might be difficult, but for us, we're lucky. We have our coaches and we have strength and conditioning professionals that are separate. So if we talk about the components of a strength and conditioning program, we talk about split leg, which is the component. Split leg is the component. So then if we look at the exercise is, we call it a split squat, which is a static lunge. And a lunge would be when you move. Right, so if, say for example, we do walking lunges. So I wish I could show you guys, but a walking lunge is a movement, whereas a split squat, as we call it, I know it's very confusing, is a static lunge. Important is to start with your body weight exercises depending on your age, your training age, if you've been training before, and always start with more repetitions, focus on the technique, make sure you're doing the technique proper, and then you can decrease and add weight to all your exercises. So like I said in the presentation as well, maybe 12 to 15 repetitions is a good place to start. Once that becomes really easy, you can bring the repetitions down, say to 10 repetitions, and you can add some soft resistance, such as a medicine ball or a sandbag or some elastic bands to make it more difficult. Gender definitely plays a role. We know that girls develop a little bit quicker than boys, so that's important. Strength and conditioning programs usually, I think, are similar I keep them usually similar for boys and girls till about age 12 or 11, because then you'll see that the girls start developing quicker than the boys, and then you'll have to adjust your program because they'll be on different varying levels. That's why I said it's really important that you do individualize your program, because two athletes will definitely develop differently. Even two boys, one can start growing early, one can start growing later. So it's very important that you take that into consideration as well. But in general, it's also important to not get carried away with that, because at the end of the day, if an athlete is able to do all these basic movement skills and techniques properly, then they will be able to develop and get stronger at the same time. So it's important to, yes, there are differences for sure. You'll see that maybe you'll progress your program with your girl athlete quicker than you would with the boys. But it's important that you keep those 7 movement patterns that we spoke about in your program throughout, and then you progress them as they get better at the exercises with weight. Definitely you can. It's just important that you remember plyometrics is a high intensity exercise. So what you want to do with younger athletes especially is you want to again teach the movement of the jumps first, and then you can go on towards doing lots of reps, doing more complicated movements. And when you're including it into your gym workout, I like to do it in the beginning of the session for younger athletes because they are fresh and their technique will be really good. So you can maybe do it in the start of your session before your gym session starts, towards the end of your warm-up, and then you can kind of do your strength session. We do have complex training as well, so it's important that you, for elite athletes, I would say for elite athletes whose technique's proper, who do lots of strength training, you can progress towards complex training, which is one plyometric and one strength exercise, and you want to be sure that they're at elite when you do that. But for the younger athletes, you can definitely start with maybe some plyometrics, again focusing on technique, and you can do it at the beginning of your session before your strength. I think there's a lot of misconception around that as well. Flexibility is very important for any athlete, so you have to make sure that you do your cool down, which is your stretches, and you want to be sure to hold your leg or your arm or whatever you're stretching in place for about 20 to 30 seconds, and you want to repeat that 2 to 3 times. Now that sounds like a lot, but it really has shown to improve your flexibility, and when you're more flexible, you can move better. So yes, definitely you can do your flexibility after strength session. You have to actually.